Hi, I'm Laurie, and this is
Mariana Garza.
welcome back to Two Designers and a Latte. We forgot our lattes in the car.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here today with our dear friend Kristen Burmeister at Kravet. And Kravet, I don't know if y'all know who they are, but they do kind of like us, a lot of things under one roof. Fabrics, lighting, rugs, wall coverings, window hardware. What else am I missing?
Bedding, accessories.
I mean, just beautiful things. So, why don't you describe a little bit about who you are and what y'all do?
So it's really a place for tools for designers, architects, realtors, people that are in that sort of an industry. We're not really for the public, and there's for many reasons, but the tools are set up here so that you can touch, feel, look at, try. Maybe if one thing doesn't work, you'll be able to find 16 other things that could be possible subs for that. So if you need to sit in a cushion and you think, okay, this cushion is a little bit too squishy, it needs to be firmer, then you'll have a designer that will tell you how, which cushion actually is probably best for that use. It's always good to have a guide and somebody who is in the profession that can protect your interests and protect your investment. Reality is whether it's a house, a remodel, or redoing your living room, it's a good amount of money and you want to make sure it lasts. You want to make sure everything goes together. You want to make sure it's the right scale and color, those being probably the first two mistakes that a lot of people make out there. And bad buys are the worst thing. Bad buys are the most expensive. So having a person that can guide you through that so that you don't make a bad buy
Right.
is essential.
And coming in here, you can't see it from your vantage point, but it is incredibly overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for because everything's beautiful. Everything feels really good. Everything looks really good. The colors are all stunning. And so you really have to be focused and trained on what it is that you need.
Otherwise, it can be very overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, in like, for instance, I love viscose velvet. Okay, viscose velvet, plush. It's so squishy and soft. I love it for a nice pillow for my sofa. But that can be a pill if you have children and dogs and you don't protect it, and someone doesn't tell you to protect it. In about 2 seconds flat, a very expensive pillow can be ruined. But we have other fabrics that are performance fabrics for those situations. There's types of performance that are, for how much it crushes when you sit down, like for a dining room chair. There's performance for the lake house. There's performance for dogs and kids. There's fabrics that are inherently stain resistant. Then there's other ones that can resist even sun resistance, wine, medicine, formula for babies.
Mhm.
I had a client that she, for a couple of years, did all her friends' sofas in inside out light performance fabrics. And I thought, oh, surely I'm going to get a phone call, right? And I never did. Absolutely never did. And that's amazing. And, really calls to that fabric. I always point to that in the showroom. Don't forget the inside out.
Okay, tell them what Inside Out is.
So inside out is a fabric that it used to be people would use all of these fabrics only outdoors on their patio. And it's no longer so. Now it's inside as well. And people are really wanting their things to look good for a longer period of time. And this affords you to do that. Mm-hmm. If it's in the sun, direct sun in your house, it's sun resistant already. It's mold resistant. If somebody got it wet, you don't have to worry about that. So, that being said, I think it's probably the most important category these days. We do sell so many other things, but that's probably the thing that's most in people's minds right now.
What colors are you selling the most of right now? I'm curious.
What's funny is like the old days of the gray and the afraid of color is gone. It's all gone. And the old days that only certain things could go with certain things in their house, that's all gone. And so eclectic is the name of the game. Oversaturation of color is very much out there. Like I would say the only color that I see still some resistance to is red. It doesn't surprise me. Usually when red does come out and it's in style, it goes everywhere. And so I think people are a little fearful of that. Blue and green are always going to be the ones that people go to the most. And we have a thing in our industry that we call sparkle. And sparkle is anything between like ice blue to teal. It's the number one color every year. Goes with little old ladies, goes with the beach house, goes.
I've never heard it put like that before.
That was when LOL was something else, little old lady. So anyway, that takes me back a little bit. But you know, that's the thing is that color, you shouldn't be afraid of color anyway, and you should do what you want.
Mm-hmm. What about pattern? What's popular right now?
So I would say it's sort of equal. I have two schools of thought right now that people run in. They run in more of a saturated color, but modern kind of effect, like purple velvet, okay, dark green, saturated walls, maybe. Then there's another school of thought of what I call the pretty room, and that's maybe lattice work, birds, branches, garden kind of theme, and it's very old school. Sometimes it's pricier, but I have lots of subs, so you don't have to do it in a pricey way. More is more, where the wallpaper and the drape are the same pattern. That's very much in style. Maybe even putting it on the headboard and then on the lampshade. All of that is in style again. Of course, it was in style a while back, and it's not being done in the very same way. It's being done in a new way. I feel like it's much more classic. I don't think it'll get on people's nerves. It's not going to trend out. That's the good thing of it. But color and pattern is for sure. Wallpaper everywhere from the ceiling. We have all kinds of wallpaper.
We love wallpaper.
We've been told now that we have the most wallpaper of anyone. We have more than 10,000 SKUs of wallpaper. Nobody has the same amount of wallpaper as we do. It's unbelievable.
You can just do so much with wallpaper. There's so many places you can put it.
Yeah, there really is. And wallpaper can really change the room so drastically.
Yes.
So drastically. And you don't have to put it on all four walls, even if it's just one focal wall, or if it's the ceiling, or
back of bookcases.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Right. Yeah. Take an antique and give it another look with that.
Absolutely.
The one that I saw this last week that was super interesting is it was contemporary and it was framed out, and it was, the whole room was white, but with these very colorful framed out contemporary fabric along the entire room. And then she was doing drapes that was like a white mesh with a Hermes kind of an orange trim on it.
Beautiful.
Very weird, very different, very almost like a museum, but very stylish. And that's another thing that I would say that is coming up. It's not as heavy, but what they're calling like high style, like things that are Gucci or Versace sort of inspired. In that case, I don't know how you would call that room, but it definitely felt high style.
So as far as budgets go, are you seeing all different kinds of budgets? Or is it mostly higher? You're just talking about some of these really exotic sounding spaces.
So, the thing that I have always thought is that everyone, even the most expensive rooms, people are only willing to pay so much for something. And so as a designer, sometimes you have the ability to know which things could be subbed out to save some money. And so, like a floral drape, if you have a floral drape that's this much a yard and this much a yard, and if it still gives you the same look, then why not, right? And you can save them some money here to maybe spend more on their sofa or whatever. I think everyone has a budget for something, okay? But we cover actually what I would consider maybe a secondary room or a secondary house kind of quality. Or you could go all the way to like Dunkia and Brunswick, which is going to last longer than we'll be here. Yeah. And so that's, I used to joke and say it's the type of furniture you throw it down the stairs and it still looks the same.
Okay, so talk to them about the different types of furniture that you have.
Right.
And what makes them unique.
So that quality level is something that's hardwood construction. You're going to have 8-way hand tie. You're going to have top of the line fabrics on it. They're going to wrap the actual frame of it with the best materials. And that is the types of furniture that end up to be future antiques. Even if they're contemporary, they're made like that, they're going to last forever. And then you have things that are maybe they scale it back. It's sort of like a pizza. You could have a pizza that's pepperoni only, or you could have a supreme pizza. So it's very funny example.
I've never heard it said that way,
but you
I'm
can
gonna start using that one.
It's
Yeah.
still a pizza, okay? And so you scale it all the way back, and now you have a sofa that maybe this sofa is going to last 10 years, or the other one's going to last 100. And some people just don't care these days. And they're like, I want the 10-year sofa because I'm going to change my style. And that's a conversation between the designer and the customer as to how far do you want to go with this? Do you want to recover it? What have you? But a lot of people, I think in this case, they're not wanting to like have a sofa for 100 years. And they also want it to look good the remaining time that they have it. And so performance is huge. Yeah.
Because I know we recently posted pictures of a project where the client had white sofas, and they were like, why would you do that? Like, with kids and dogs and whatnot. It's performance fabrics, that's why.
Yeah. Performance. And you could get things sprayed, but performance is really much better route to go because it's in the actual yarns rather than something that's sprayed.
Interesting. So talk about how does that work? So people understand a little bit more about the construction of it.
So even if you're talking like in the way of polyester, so a lot of things come down to like chemicals basically in the actual production of something. And so if you're talking like polyester is not going to change color. You know, like if you get a dye lot from this bowl to that, most likely it's the same. It's just inherently in the chemicals and the way that they made that. If you spray something, like spray a cotton velvet, let's say, then every time you go to clean it, then you got to spray it again because it can come off, right? Where in polyester, it's just part of the fiber itself. Does it last forever and ever? No, but the performance of it over the time that you have it, you would be really surprised. I have very expensive velvet and I have inexpensive polyester velvet, and the expensive cotton velvet is not wearing as well. And so I can see it in my house. And I hate that because I love my expensive velvet. But the bottom line is the less expensive polyester one is winning right now. 10 years on.
It's the details. It's the education and knowing about the details. And as we're talking, I'm looking at Kristen, of course, but I'm also acknowledging all the details in the surrounding pieces. And it's why you need people like the three of us that are sitting here to help guide you in all of the selections. So talk about some of the differences in what you have and how they can be changed.
Well, in this particular room, we're sitting on a sectional that you could actually, cut it up in sections and add sections to it. It has a little table next to Mariana. So if you have a see-through room where you have maybe two focal points, you have a TV on one side and maybe a beautiful view in the other, and you want to kind of see through. Or if you have parties, you want to be able to access maybe some snacks, a charcuterie board. That's what this is for. But this particular sofa has a mohair on it. Now, mohair, for some people, they wouldn't go this direction because it can crush. It's like a very thick velvet sort of effect. They might not like it because if they have animals, the hairs would stick to it. Or, there's just many reasons why maybe somebody would not use mohair. So then they go to you as a designer. I have kids and dogs, and Laurie might say, you need a performance velvet. It's kind of like mohair. You'll have a soft to the touch, but it's going to wear a lot better. And also save you some money. Mohair's price. And
but it is
lovely. It really is.
It's very lovely. And so it's a matter of having those conversations with your client. This one right here is a chenille, and believe it or not, it's like reversible. So if you had a huge sectional, you could actually do some of the pillows on this side and some of them on the reverse side of this fabric here. And I think that's a great idea, actually, for a lot of people.
And that one has a welt cord, where this one is a knife edge.
Knife edge. I would say more than not, people are doing knife edge, but they're starting to use trims a lot. Tapes are huge, and so more is back, and so there's no reason you might have. Let's just say you had a this is beautiful teal color. Let's say you had like a bronze metal type of tape, which would go with the colors really well. You could put that on the bottom of this. It's all customizable. It's all what you want to do. And if you're gonna already have it made, you may as well. And a lot of times people will say, oh, it's custom, and they automatically think it's more expensive than if they were to go to a big box store. That's not necessarily true. What is true is you're not going to have something the neighbors have. Because a big box store sold hundreds and hundreds of those. And nothing hurts more than to have your whole room done and someone to say, oh, they've seen that before. It's always nicer to have something that no one else has, right? And that's what this is for. This whole entire showroom is, I think, to be able to personalize that.
You know my favorite orange chair I always talk about?
Mm-hmm.
It's theirs. I got it here.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. And the dimensions of it are so perfect because you can just curl up in it. And it just feels so good. And I've had it for years. And it's still really, really nice.
I call it, like, I have one at my house. I call it the me spot.
Oh.
This is my me spot.
But see, as designers, we see so many new things all the time. I think that's why Laurie's having such an issue making a commitment to a new fabric to recover it.
Because I still really like it.
Still really like it.
I do. But it's time.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you could cover it the same kind of fabric and the same kind of color and give it, you know, just a new, or you could go, you know, a different direction. But the construction of it is probably so
the construction
good.
is great.
So that's
it's
the important
great.
part of it. You don't want to. A lot of times people come in, they're wanting to reupholster something that's not any good. There's no reason.
It's not worth it.
No, upholstery does cost some money in getting fabric and all of that, and sometimes it's just better just to get something new.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times people will ask us for our opinions, and we'll tell you, you know, yes, this is lovely, and it's worth it if we did this, or don't waste your money. Yeah, just don't do that.
Just don't do it. And that's another thing, like breaking a person out of their mode that they've had for many, many years is another conversation that designers have. And coming to a place like this, or a lot of times what happens is the designer will call and they'll say, I need something in this vein, this look, right? And I'll send out a bunch of memos, and you're able to have the conversation with them. They can take them home, see them, you know, in the light of day, see them in the dark, and be able to little by little change their look, because sometimes it is kind of a drastic decision.
Yeah,
it's hard, right?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. This is so much fun.
It is fun, actually.
Yeah, and you know so much about so many of your products. I mean, it's really pretty amazing because there's a lot to know.
There's a lot to know, and it's important that you have someone, and that's what I think that you guys do for your clients, okay? So if you already have a relationship with someone and you can trust them, you know they're looking out for your best, you may as well get them to look out for your, you know, remodel, look out for your kitchen remodel, look out for doing your drapes. Just make that relationship, because once you leave that relationship and you go out and you try to find these things all over again and to try to trust people again, I mean, I've seen some mistakes that have been made, and they're expensive ones.
So, I don't know, I hear all the time, like, from other designers, they'll have minimums, or the project needs to be a certain size, and we don't do that.
Right.
Help clients with whatever it is that they need.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you do all kinds of design work. Like, it's not specific to, you know, some people, they're like, well, I love designers, but don't they always do, you know, very fancy? Don't they always do very whatever? And if you have an open mind like you guys do, I've seen the work that you do, and it's all over the place in style and range and size of project. And that's the better route to go, because you just never know the person. I always feel like taking things bite size is always easier for the client anyway. you know, and for you, you know, okay, now we're working on your bathroom. Okay, now we're working on, and they can trust you a lot more and trust themselves
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in making those decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
And it is. It's about the relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah. And seeing how it goes. So thank you. Thank you so much for all those kind words. Absolutely, totally agree with everything you said. And thank you for your time
Yeah,
and letting us come and invade Kravet and kind of sharing with you a little bit about who Kristen is and what they offer and how many beautiful things that they have.
It's absolutely so much of a joy for me because I get to meet lovely people like you, help you with your clients. And also, we have this addiction, I think, this small addiction, I think, is the before and after.
Yeah,
It's a crazy addiction that we have, that we love. They're like, oh, they think this is a problem, and we see it no in this other light right away.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is such great fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you,
Cool.
ladies.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
joining us. And we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.